a second. Every empire, every piece of art, every single idea humanity has ever had, all of it was powered by something we do about 22,000 times a day, usually without even noticing: breathing. Today, we're going to dig into how that quiet, invisible act of just taking a breath is deeply tied to the rise and fall of civilizations themselves. Let's get into it.
No, I'm serious. Think about it. You probably worry about your email inbox, or traffic, or what's for dinner pretty much every day. But when did you last consciously think about the oxygen filling your lungs? This stuff is more essential to you than food or water, yet it works so perfectly, so silently in the background, that we've all learned to just completely ignore it. And that, right there, is the heart of the problem. We've taken the silence of a stable atmosphere as a guarantee. We've assumed it'll just always be there, forever. But what if that silence isn't a sign of permanence? What if it's actually the sound of a system under enormous stress?
To really understand that, we need to properly meet our invisible partner in all of this, a partner we have been taking for granted for, well, centuries.
So what's so fascinating about this is how it totally reframes our priorities, right? We build our entire lives around getting the things in that left column. But the one thing that our survival is measured in minutes without: oxygen. It barely even registers. It is the ultimate silent partner. And here's the amazing part. Every single breath you take is a part of this massive global collaboration. You're connected to phytoplankton and oceans you'll never see, to trees and forests you will never set foot in. And you know, these systems don't make oxygen for us. They just do what they do. It's part of a planetary process that was humming along way before we ever showed up. We're just the lucky beneficiaries of a system we don't control.
So here's the crucial point. We've become absolutely obsessed with what we can build, with our own clever inventions. We track our economic growth down to the last decimal point, but we fail to even notice the slow erosion of the biological machinery that makes any of that growth possible in the first place.
And this blind spot has led us into a really profound mistake, an illusion that our civilization is a machine, when, in reality, it's something else entirely. You know, we love to think of society in these mechanical terms: inputs, outputs, efficiency, progress. It makes us feel like we're in control. But our civilization is a biological process. It has non-negotiable needs, like clean air and a stable climate. And unlike a machine part, you can't just swap out a dead ecosystem. Biology demands balance, not just raw speed. And this quote it nails the truth of it, doesn't it? We aren't separate from nature, looking down. Our entire world, our cities, our economies, our tech, it's all built inside of and on top of the biosphere. When that foundation cracks, the whole building starts to sway. And you can see this pattern play out all through history. This isn't a new story. Civilizations follow this cycle. They burn through the natural resources that support them, and then, when things inevitably start to go wrong, they look for a simple scapegoat instead of facing the real problem: a long, slow failure of maintenance. Which brings us right up to our modern world, the combustion age. This is the era where our mechanical way of thinking has allowed us to run up a planetary scale debt, an unpaid oxygen tab. Our relationship with fire started small. It was a tool, but then we scaled it way up. First with the Industrial Revolution, and then it just exploded with the Great Acceleration after World War II. Every engine, every factory, every power plant is essentially a controlled fire. And for 2 centuries, we've been running billions of them, all at once. Now, the bill is coming due. And every fire consumes oxygen. It's just simple chemistry. One little fire is nothing, but billions of them, burning fossil fuels nonstop, well, that represents a colossal withdrawal from the atmospheric bank account. We've just been taking it out and taking it out without ever thinking about how it gets put back in. When we see a number like this one, 21%, the oxygen in our atmosphere, it's so easy to feel safe. I mean, it seems like this massive, unshakable buffer. How could we possibly make a dent in something that huge? But that's the trap. A buffer is not an infinite resource. It's a safety margin. And our complacency has led us to not only withdraw from that account at an insane rate, but to also actively damage the very systems, the forests and the oceans, that are supposed to be making the deposits. So how do we start to pay this tab back? Well, the solution requires a pretty radical reframing of something we see every day. We have to start seeing that trees are, in fact, critical infrastructure. Let's just look at the actual definition of infrastructure: the basic structures needed for the operation of a society. We think of roads, bridges, power grids, but What could possibly be more basic or more critical to our operation than the system that generates the air we breathe?
A forest is not just a bunch of trees. It is a powerful, multifunctional piece of technology. It does all of these critical jobs at the same time with no fuel source and with zero waste products. It is, quite literally, the planet's biological operating system.
And this right here, this is the single most important idea to take away from this. We have fundamentally miscategorized forests as just scenery, an optional extra. They are not. They are a non-negotiable essential component of the machinery that keeps our entire civilization alive.
And here is the incredible irony, right? We spend trillions of dollars designing these complex technologies, yet we systematically undervalue and destroy the most sophisticated, efficient, and resilient technology that has ever existed, simply because we didn't invent it ourselves.
All right, let's dive into an idea that's pretty profound. It challenges us to stop thinking small, to move past those symbolic gestures, and start embracing massive intelligent action to actually heal our planet.
You know this feeling, right? We all do. You go out, you plant a single tree, you do your good deed for the earth, and you get that little buzz of satisfaction. It's a great symbol, a positive act, and it really feels like you're making a difference. But here's the tough part. That single tree, as good as it feels to plant, is really just a single drop of water. And the problem we're up against isn't a small puddle, it's a massive reservoir, and it's running dry at a terrifying speed.
And that really gets to the heart of the challenge, doesn't it? The problems our planet is facing are accelerating. They're growing exponentially. So, can our one-by-one, linear solutions ever really hope to catch up?
Look, the issue here isn't a lack of good intentions. Not at all. It's really a fundamental mismatch in the math. It's the mathematics of the problem versus the mathematics of our solution. Let's break that down.
So here it is. This is the core mismatch. Our efforts as individuals are additive, 1 plus 1 plus 1. They grow in a steady, straight line. But the ecological damage, that's multiplicative. It compounds, it accelerates, it grows exponentially. So while our small actions feel comforting, the problem itself is actually speeding away from us. So if a linear, one-at-a-time approach just can't work, what's the alternative? Well, the answer might just come from a powerful blueprint that's been borrowed directly from the natural world.
Now, this is not just about planting more trees. It's about planting them completely differently. The idea of a swarm is about a coordinated, massive, and intelligent effort. You can almost think of it as an artificial ecosystem that's guided by real-time data on things like soil quality and climate, constantly adapting and learning as it goes. And let's be clear, this isn't some futuristic sci-fi concept. It's a strategy that's been perfected by nature over millions of years. We're really just borrowing the playbook, from the distributed intelligence of ant colonies, the incredible communication of bees, and the sheer resilience of fungal networks. We're using nature's logic to solve a human-made problem.
Now you might think the goal here is pretty simple. Just get more oxygen into the atmosphere. But the benefits of this kind of scaled-up approach run so much deeper. They affect our economy, our society, and even the very way our own brains work.
We usually think of forests as just scenery, right? A pretty background. But what if we started seeing them as a form of critical infrastructure? A kind of psychological infrastructure that actually supports our collective mental and emotional health. And this isn't just some vague feeling. The effects are totally measurable. Being in these oxygen-rich, green environments literally changes our neurochemistry. Our heart rates slow down, stress hormones like cortisol just plummet, and our thoughts become clearer. We actually become better decision makers. And think about the implication of that. Better air could lead to better governance and healthier societies. It's profound.
Okay, so what about the cost? This is where the whole argument gets really provocative, because it kind of frames our current economic priorities as a tragic joke.
The estimated price tag for a global, coordinated tree planting swarm is somewhere around $10 billion. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds like an unbelievable amount of money. But it is absolutely crucial to put that number into perspective.
Because here's the reframe. $10 billion isn't an expense. It's an investment. It's an investment in the absolute foundational systems that make everything else, our economy, our health, our societies even possible. The return on that investment isn't just positive, it's practically infinite.
Just think about it. We spend trillions reacting to disasters, floods, fires, respiratory illnesses,
all of them are just symptoms of a degraded environment. Now compare that massive number to what we spend on prevention. We are willingly, actively paying far, far more to manage the consequences than it would cost to just address the root cause.
But just when you think this whole story is about trees, it takes a really surprising turn. It zooms out and reveals an even bigger, more fascinating picture.
So we all have that image of forests being the lungs of the planet, right? Well, that's only about 30% of the story. The vast majority of the oxygen we breathe, I'm talking around 70%, is actually produced by microscopic phytoplankton and algae in our oceans. They are the planet's primary oxygen engine. So you might be asking, okay, then why focus so much on trees? Because you can't separate these systems. They are deeply, deeply interconnected. Healthy forests regulate rainfall and prevent the nutrient runoff that pollutes the ocean. So a degraded forest on land leads directly to a stressed, less productive ocean. The health of one completely supports the other. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. A tree planting swarm isn't just about restoring forests. It's a strategic move to stabilize the entire life support system of Earth. It's an intervention that helps the forests, which in turn helps the oceans, which in turn helps all of us.
So ultimately, this isn't just an economic argument. It's about safety, and it's a moral argument. Proactively investing in our planet's health is just smarter, it's better, and it's a more humane strategy than endlessly cleaning up our own messes. So, we're left with this question. The blueprint is there, inspired by nature itself. We understand the psychological benefits, the economic benefits. The only question that really remains is whether we, as a civilization, are finally ready to match the scale of our solutions to the scale of our problems.